Hey everybody, Rachel Miner here. I wanted to get on today and share a story about me, okay? When I was a teenager, I had a brother that drove a car and he had really loud speakers. And I know a lot of you can relate to that. He had these speakers that were so loud that, you heard the bass just beating and beating and beating. And I would get in the car with him and he'd give me a ride to school or whatever, and his speakers would be just beating. That bass would just be going so loud. And I remember thinking, I'm going to lose my hearing. I'm going to lose my hearing because these speakers are so loud and they're hurting my ears and I need to protect my hearing. And I was so self-conscious of the fact that I needed to not listen to loud things because I was going to lose my hearing. So I even when I had headphones in would make sure that it wasn't too loud, and I protected my hearing because that was something that was so important to me, okay? And I know that sometimes things are important to people and sometimes they're not, because sometimes they're not on a radar. So fast forward, and a few years ago, I was at a movie with my daughter, who at the time was about 18 months old. And she was sitting on my lap in the movie theater, and as she turned around, her finger poked me in the eye. And it was one of those, I don't know if you've ever, where you get poked in the eye and your eye's really watering and you're just like, oh my gosh. And it felt like a paper cut on my eye. And I remember thinking, okay, this is one of those times where my eye hurts really, really bad. And, but it'll be okay. After a few minutes, I'm going to get over it and it'll be okay. And I remember just so much pain in my eye. And I finished the movie with my kids and I hauled them all out and everything. And the eye just did not get better. It just kept burning and burning and burning. And I went to my friend who was a nurse, and I was like, okay, what do I do? This is not getting better. Usually you get poked in the eye and it hurts a little bit and it gets better and you kind of get over it, but it was not getting better. And she's like, well, you're probably going to have to go into the doctor and they're going to put cover it up or put one of those bandages on it. It'll be okay. It'll start getting better. So I went into the doctor and they were like, well, actually, your daughter kind of took a chunk out of your eye. So it wasn't just a little scratch. It was like a little chunk. So I ended up having to have a contact lens bandage in my eye, which was kind of nice because I didn't have to have this huge bandage covering it up and stuff. They were able to put this contact lens bandage in so nobody could really tell that I had this contact lens bandage. And it still burnt and it still hurt. And I had to wear it for it was about a week. And I went in and they were like, oh, it's still not healed very well. So we're going to leave it on a little bit longer. So I left it on a little bit longer and, hey, Amy, and went back in and they were like, oh, it's still not healed. So I left it on a little bit longer and then they were like, okay, it's probably good now. I was able to take it off. But after that, I continually had pain and burning. And my eye just always hurt. And when I woke up in the morning, if I got up too early, it would just burn all day long, okay? And I don't know if you guys have ever had that where in the middle of the night, if your kids wake you up, or in the morning they're like, hey mom, and you kind of make your eyes open really, really bright all of a sudden. And when they startled me and my eyes opened, it was almost like it cut that wound open again and it would just burn all the time. And it got to the point that just my eye would just water all the time and I had to keep them closed in the morning and, put cold compresses on them and make them feel a lot better. And so you just kind of deal with it. You just kind of deal with it and you kind of just go, okay, this is something that now I'm having to live with. And I remember a couple months later going back into the doctor and going, okay, did it not heal right? Is there something wrong with my eye? Because it still is burning and it still hurts all the time. And they're just like, no, it was such a bad injury that it's going to take a lot longer to heal. So you just have to, live with it. So I said, okay. So almost 2 years to the date, okay, same thing happened. I was in a movie theater again. This time it was Christmas Eve, And we were in the movie theater. And by this time, it was my next daughter who, is a year and a half younger. And so she was about a year old sitting on my lap. And she kind of moved and like turned around really quick and like poked me in the eye again. In the same eye. And I was like, you've got to be kidding me. Like, you've got to be kidding me. Like, it already hurts all the time. And it was the same thing. It was this burning, like it's not going to get better sensation. And I remember like going, I cannot believe it. And I remember, okay, well, the first time I just put the contact lens in, went to the doctor, kept it in, a week or two later, and I was better. So this time I was like bound and determined. I'm just going to cover my eye myself, put a bandage over it. Christmas Eve, I'm not going to end up in the emergency room because I don't want to ruin Christmas. So I covered my eye, bandaged it all up, and by the middle of Christmas Day, I was in so much pain that I ended up in the emergency room with this eye that had been injured. This eye, not this eye, I switched hands. This eye had been injured twice in the exact same place. And so I went into the emergency room. I had spent the whole Christmas morning like both eyes closed because I had bandaged the one and it hurt so bad I couldn't even like see from my other one. Hey, Matt. So it was one of those things that like I was just like, I got to break down and go to the emergency room. So I went to the emergency room and they were able to put some numbing eye drops in my eyes so that I can make it through the rest of the day till I got to the doctor the next day. And when I got to the doctor the next day, he was like, oh my gosh, like you probably have burning in your eye all the time and it hurts all the time. And do you feel like it's like a paper cut and it opens your wound? And I was like, oh my gosh, yes. Like this doctor finally knows what the pain I've been going through. And he's like, oh, you have this, condition in your eye where you've like ruined the layers on your eye and they're not healing properly. So every time you blink and open your eye, you're actually reopening this wound all the time. And we're going to do surgery on your eye and it's going to help fix this condition. So I had surgery on my eye that day. They just went ahead and they just like scraped the whole lining of my eye off so that it would all heal together. And he goes, I'm going to send you to the specialist who's going to like make sure that you're healing properly and take, some pictures of your eye and all this stuff. And he's going to make sure that your eye is doing good. And it still would like burn all the time and have some, and I'd water all the time. And so I'd go in and say, hey, do you have any eye drops? I need some eye drops for my eyes because they just burn all the time. So I went into the specialist and he looked at my eyes and he basically said, well, that's the least of your concern because you have macular degeneration and you're going to lose your sight. So burning and stinging, you shouldn't be worrying about because you're going to lose your sight. And I remember thinking like, I've never even heard of that before. I've never heard of macular degeneration. I was like, can you write that down on a piece of paper? Because I don't even know what you're saying. Like he was telling me this eye condition and he's like, yeah, he's like, could be tomorrow, could be in a few more years. I'll probably be retired by then. It won't matter to me, and and the only thing I kept thinking was, I'm going to go blind. I'm going to go blind. I'm going to go blind. I'm losing my sight. I'm losing my sight. And he was telling me all about it and how, your vision just starts to go bad and you start seeing spots. So it's like you don't lose 100%. It's kind of the opposite of tunnel vision where you just start seeing spots and then the spots get bigger and bigger and bigger. And he's like, that's how come an old lady will come up to you and they'll be like, honey, what's your name? Who are you? And they don't know who you are. But then they can go, oh, you dropped a button on the floor, and they can pick up this button that you dropped because they can see the peripheral, but they can't see like right ahead of you. And I was just like devastated because I was in my young 30s. I'm like, I can't lose my sight. I have kids I need to take care of. I drive them everywhere. And I remember him telling me, well, just go join a support group. Join a support group. That'll help you through this trial, help you deal with what you're going to be dealing with in the future. And I remember going home and like talking to my husband and like, how is this going to affect our lives and stuff like that? And I remember looking up support groups. Well, all of the support groups were in like nursing homes and rest homes of all these people that were like in their 90s. And I'm like, I'm in my 30s, And then I'm like, okay, and when you like find out about something, you do a ton of research on it. You just start researching everything. So I started researching everything I could about macular degeneration and how it affects people and how there's dry and how there's wet and how your vision is pretty good. And then when it starts going bad, then it goes bad really, really fast. And I learned everything I could about it. And I was like, oh, there's studies out there. I'm going to be part of a study. Well, all of the studies out there don't take anybody until they're at least in their 50s. So I was like, oh my gosh, I can't join a support group. Can't even join a study. I just have to live with this. And I have to live with the fact that, like, it might happen tomorrow, might happen next year, kind of a thing. And I remember thinking, it was the day after my appointment, I went up to the mountains for a week. And I was going with a youth group as one of their leaders. And it was at the YMCA in the Colorado Rockies. And I remember being up there and just looking at the beautiful mountains and the scenery and being in this most beautiful place. And I remember crying, thinking, wow, this is so beautiful. And I've taken it for granted my whole life. Like, I've always enjoyed the mountains and I've always enjoyed, being out in nature. But all of a sudden, when you're told you might lose your sight, all of a sudden, you appreciate everything you can see so much better. And I remember thinking, wow, I need to take this in. And every day of my life, I need to enjoy the beauty that I see, because one day I might not be able to see it again. And so I know that, like, I've like appreciated everything I can see, when you're driving down the street and you have those beautiful clouds or you can see the snow on the mountains, like, I appreciate it so much more. And I always think to myself, I've got to take it all in. I've got to take it all in so that one day if I can't see it as well, then I'm going to remember all of this and how it looks and how beautiful it is and appreciate it. And it always kind of reminds me of that country song, like Live Like You're Dying, and how he talks about his health and how, it wasn't until he got this medical, bad news that this guy was like dying. And so then it was like, all the things that he did when he was dying and how he enjoyed life and went fishing with his dad and all those things. And I was like, oh, that was me. Like, okay, I now appreciate my sight even more because I know that one day I could lose it or lose part of it or not see as well. And so I'm always so much grateful for everything that I see and the beauty in nature and everything. And I enjoy running outside and I enjoy running on trails and just enjoying the nature so that I know that I've appreciated as much as I can. And every day I deal with people who have health issues now, and I love it. I love helping people get healthy. I love helping people with all of their health goals, and that's something that I think a lot of people also take for granted. Everybody, lives day to day. They eat what they want. Sometimes they exercise. Sometimes they don't. Sometimes they go, oh, I should maybe eat better. And then they try to eat better, or, they go on a temporary diet to lose a few pounds. And they really don't appreciate their health or appreciate what they have until it's gone. And, they go to the doctor. They're told their blood pressure's high. They're told their cholesterol's high. They are told they have an autoimmune issue or, something else, or cancer, like I remember a couple years ago when I went in and they, thought I might have had cancer, and and then all of a sudden you go, oh my gosh, I have not appreciated my health. I have not appreciated my health all of these years until somebody tells me it could be gone. And there's so many people out there that wait till the doctor tells them that their health is not good, that, their blood work's bad, and then all of a sudden they decide that now it's time. Now it's time to, like, do something about my health. Oh, maybe now I should start exercising. Now I should start, eating better, or, incorporating healthy habits. And so I just want to encourage everybody out there, appreciate what you have. I know that I appreciate my eyesight even more now. I appreciate my health even more now. And And don't wait until a doctor tells you that you need to change something. Decide for yourself. I think sometimes we get in this phase of life that like our doctors are health coach. Our doctors are not our health coaches. They're not there to tell us how to exercise, what to eat, hey Billy, and all of those things. Like a doctor, you go in and you tell him what's wrong, and he gives you something for the symptoms you're having or the disease you have to help the symptoms of it. He's not there to tell you like I don't know how many times I've gone into a doctor. Nobody's ever asked me like, they go, "Oh, do you exercise?" But they don't say like, "What are you doing for exercise? How much do you exercise? Is it the right amount for your body?" You know, like in my mind I could go, "Oh yeah, I exercise," and I walk to the mailbox every day and I call it exercise, and I tell my doctor I'm exercising every day, and he's like, "Okay, you're doing good because you exercise every day." Like everybody is different. Everybody's different. Everybody needs different forms of exercise. I know I'm somebody that I've always been a runner, and so sometimes you got to mix it up because your body gets so used to what you've been doing. And so you got to like mix it up, try new things. You have to like eat healthy because your body needs nutrients, not because all of a sudden now you have a horrible disease that you need to like, take care of. So I want everyone out there to just appreciate the health they have, appreciate their life, and eat right and exercise and make healthy habits because you care about yourself, because you respect yourself enough to feel good, to be able to have a body that's going to function properly. I know that a lot of people, they have to have something that kind of wakes them up. So this is my little call out to you to have a wake up before something gets worse, because if you have that wake up now, you're going to enjoy life even better, and you're going to enjoy being able to like do things longer and have the health you need. Hey, Paula, I see you riding your bike all the time. You know all about this, exercising and like enjoying life and feeling good. And it doesn't mean that you don't eat things you don't enjoy. You can still eat things you don't eat, that are bad. Have a treat every now and again. Go out to eat every now and again. Like you have to enjoy life. You just want to do things in moderation and make sure that you make healthy habits so that you can have the best life possible. So I want everyone to have a great day today and enjoy everything you have, and look out for others and give them a smile and do something kind and some service for other people's, and we can all be able to have a better life and help each other out.